Now, before I go ahead with today's story, I also want to invite you to consider the deeper layer hidden behind all of these magic and petty shenanigans and court battles that I just went through. Remember that it's a transition between the ages, that the higher age is ending and the lower age is beginning. But behind this, in Mahabharata, we should always ask, what would I do? We put ourselves in the place of the characters. Not just that we see the characters within ourselves. On the Kaurava side was an indomitable, a great warrior named Karna, who was as good as Arjuna. So Mahabharata, in a way, is really the battle between Karna and Arjuna. Who are they? Arjuna represents our enthusiasm, our self-discipline, our need, innate need to do that which is right for us, even though it's hard. If it were easy, it wouldn't be called self-discipline, it would be called indulgence, wouldn't it? So Arjuna represents that innate drive to better ourselves, to refine ourselves, not merely for the sake of health and well-being or buying another new house, not that way, but even from the great spiritual perspective, to escape the cycle of birth and death, to go beyond creation, to transcend it. We need the inner Arjuna. He is the greatest warrior, and on pitted against him is the other reason why we do anything. We do something sometimes because it's good for us and we are enthusiastic, we do it with self-discipline, but sometimes we say, I do this because I like. I really like it, it gives me pleasure. So between attachment and self-discipline, those are the two greatest warriors. And Shakuni, the creator of delusion, gives us rationalizations when we want to do the wrong thing. It weaves a new reality, distorts reality. On the other side, it's Yudhishthira, the eldest of the Pandavas. He is that part within us which is always calm, the ability to think about somebody else's good instead of my good, to serve others. And with that divine calmness comes the ability to escape delusion. So those two are pitted against each other. And then there is Duryodhana, the desire. Pitted against him is the power of the heart, the ability to uplift our energies and not waste it on desire. That is Bhima, the one with the strength of 10,000 elephants. So this is the story so far. One final thing I want to say, I just keep this in mind as we go ahead. The Kauravas, the bad guys at this point, have 11 battalions of soldiers. The Pandavas have only 7. And there aren't that many people on the Pandava side. And the Kaurava side are a legion. Think about that. If they are the good bad guys and the good guys on the Pandava side, the bad tendencies on the Kaurava side, the good tendencies on the Pandava side, is it true that we enter the battle of life with an inherent bias, set up for failure, fighting against forces that are larger? Well, let's find out. Oh, the battle now begins. Now starts today's story. The battle formations are done. Arjuna is completely filled with enthusiasm and courage because of the Bhagavad Gita that he heard from Krishna. And he is ready to fight. Who is heading the Kaurava army? None other than Bhishma, the 80-plus-year-old patriarch. So the battle begins. The Pandava army attacks Bhishma. The Kaurava army attacks Arjuna. And very soon, Arjuna and Bhishma go head to head against each other. And Bhishma begins to wreak havoc on the Pandavas. He stands there and with almost clinical precision, he picks and chooses whom he wants to kill and kills 10,000 people every day. Nobody can resist him. He chooses whom he wants to kill. Arjuna tries to resist him. Bhima tries to resist him. Dradyumna, a great warrior, he is Draupadi, the Pandava's wife, his brother, he tries to resist him, but Bhishma just does what he wants in the battlefield. That was day one. Pandavas are not a happy lot. And day two begins. Bhishma does the same thing. He is completely indomitable. There is nothing anybody can do to overcome him. 10,000 people, again, one by one, they are picked and chosen. by Bhishma's. So many warriors on the Pandava side try, and then finally the battle devolves into little skirmishes, hoping that Bhishma doesn't come and kill us. They constantly look over their shoulders. Goes on for day 2, day 3, goes on this way for 9 days. Bhishma fights tirelessly, but it's also obvious that he's not trying too hard. So great is his dominance over the battlefield that Krishna, who is now Arjuna's charioteer on the Pandava side, remember, he begins to get worried. So on the 9th day, he watches the battle and he notices, what do you think he notices? Does he notice that Bhishma is unbeatable? No, he doesn't. He notices that Arjuna is holding back. Because Bhishma, after all, is his grand uncle. In the way those families worked, their grand uncles were called grandfathers. So I'll just refer to Bhishma as the grandfather. Bhishma was his grandfather. He was the revered patriarch of the family. Krishna notices that Arjuna is holding back. And he says, after all that I told him, the Bhagavad Gita, I spent so much time telling him to fight the just battle. And he still is holding back. Again, ask yourself, the critical battles of life, how much are we present? Every part of Mahabharata, ask yourself, what would I do? So Krishna decides to take matter into his own hands. Day number 10 begins. And Arjuna and Bhishma go at each other, and Arjuna shoots a lot of arrows. See, Arjuna has this incredible ability to shoot arrows with both hands. What does that mean? Imagine holding 2 tall bows, one on each side of you, and so precise is your choreography of shooting the arrows that neither bow moves and your arms windmill with such great precision that 2 sets of arrows come at the same time. It's called Savyasachi, shooting arrows with both hands. With that great precision, he shoots arrow after arrow. It's like a wall of arrows coming towards Bhishma. And Bhishma easily, this youth, his grandson and the grandfather, the patriarch, are going against each other, and Bhishma easily breaks all of them and begins to shoot his own arrows. And for the first time on day 10 of the battle, Krishna, God himself, Arjuna's charioteer, is injured. In anger, Krishna jumps off the chariot. Remember, he said, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. Then he picks up a chariot wheel that was lying around. It's the scene of battlefield after all. Then he lifts this massive chariot wheel, and within the where the axle goes, he puts his finger, and as he closes his eyes, the wheel begins to spin at an impossible speed. It was as if that it could cut through anything. This is called a chakra. So Krishna and his chakra, they go towards Bhishma. And Bhishma is standing there, the flowing beard and the golden crown, and he drops his bow, spreads his arms and says, come, Krishna, what greater privilege can I have in my old age than to be killed by God himself? Come, take my life. Now Arjuna is kind of startled awake from his trance, and he realizes that he's making Krishna break his vow. He has failed because Krishna has said, I will not lift a weapon, I will not kill anybody. So he runs after Krishna in mortification, holds him and says, Lord, my friend, please calm yourself. I will promise you that today Bhishma will fall. And Krishna knows all this, even though his face is tight with anger. Inside he says, now my disciple knows what he needs to do. So when Arjuna comes back, he's a changed man. His face becomes expressionless. Any hint of reverence he had for his grandfather is completely gone. He is now a warrior mercilessly after his enemies. He gathers his forces and he calls another warrior named Shikhandi. He brings him in front of him and says, Shikhandi, you be my shield. And then Arjuna loses an onslaught of arrows. And Bhishma fights back. And then when this goes on for a while, Bhishma realizes, my grandson is at least as good as me. Perhaps he is better. he begins to pant. He begins to, for the first time in 10 days, begins to get tired. Arjuna presses home his advantage, and then he shoots arrows with such exquisite precision that the arrows go past Bhishma on either side, and their trajectory is so wonderfully calculated that they come back and pierce his broad backside. Bhishma's backside is pierced with arrows now, and so is his front. And after some time, Bhishma cannot take this anymore, and he falls from his chariot. Now remember, his backside is pierced with arrows, so when he falls, it is as if he falls on a bed of arrows. The indomitable patriarch of the Kuru dynasty, who had never before been defeated in battle, is brought down by none other than his own grandson, Arjuna, who is now fully invested in battle. He was fully present. Think about it. Ask yourself, if I am fully present in whatever I do, what can't I achieve? Even the oldest of my enemies is like nothing for me. So Bhishma falls, and the entire battlefield, in respect, drops their weapons, because he has been like a father, a grandfather to everybody. All the Kauravas come, Karna comes, Dronacharya, the teacher, comes, and from here the Pandavas come. Kunti is their mother, she comes. Draupadi, the wife of all the 5 Pandavas, she comes. Everybody is weeping. And then Bhishma looks at all of them. He is still undaunted. There is not a hint of pain in his body. Imagine that, lying on a bed of arrows, not a hint of pain. And he lifts his head because it's heading back. The arrows are on his broad back. So his head is lolling back, and he says, I need pillows. And immediately, a lot of people go give him these soft, wonderful pillows. And Bhishma scoffs at them. He says, I'm a warrior. And he looks at Arjuna. He says, Arjuna, I need pillows. My son, give me pillows. So Arjuna shoots immediately. 4, 5, 6 arrows formed in a perfect circle with one arrow in the center. All of the sharp ends pointing up. And Bhishma the warrior lays his head back on the warrior's pillow, the bed of arrows. And then he looks at Arjuna and says, Arjuna, my son, I need water. And so Arjuna takes another arrow, and he holds it at his forehead for a minute. He's infusing it with the power that he desires, and he shoots the arrow down into the ground, and then it burrows down into the ground, goes all the way up north, hundreds of miles up north, beyond the Himalayas, into the windswept plains of what we know as Tibet today. It's still traveling with great speed underground, and comes to the base of a perfectly conical mountain in the midst of this windswept Tibetan desert. It's known as Mount Kailash. And at the base of Mount Kailash is a holy lake called Manas Sarovar. And it was said that Brahma himself comes there every night to bathe, and it is the true source of the Ganges river, the Ganga river, it is said. So from the holy lake of Manas Sarovar, a cool stream of water comes as a new Ganga river, and this fountain perfectly comes into Bhishma's mouth. Bhishma is happy because Bhishma's mother is actually the river Ganga. So lying on a bed of arrows, this old man in the middle of the battlefield is once again, his ascetic life is nourished by water fed to him by his mother Ganga. So Bhishma is happy